So I guess we can get started. I guess we could start with Lauren, if you could start us out with the vouchers that need to be approved and the minutes, please.
So the minutes are from June 30th, I believe. I'd sent them around. I'm having issues getting to the T drive right now, so I can't share my screen. But I believe I sent those around and there were not any comments. And then same issue with the vouchers. I can't share my screen, but I believe it was for finishing up with the CPA plan. Then there's a voucher from TRT for about $2,300, and then CPC dues, which have to be voted on, I think, for membership renewal.
Lauren, I can get into the T drive. Are they saved into the meeting materials, or are they under accounting?
It's in accounting and CPC, just expenses.
Expenses, FY26, under vouchers.
Mm-hmm. The date might not be today's, but it'll be the most recent.
I see there it was the file was dated today, but on the here, I'll share my screen. Here we go. Was this all of it, Lauren?
It's like still loading for me. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's it.
So it looks like you have the remaining balance of the CP Community Preservation Plan, the dues, I believe, for the Community Preservation Coalition, and what's that last one, Lauren?
If you scroll, the invoice should be attached, if that's the PDF.
Oh.
Okay, for the Pratt Mill Pond one, I did check with Dave Connors, the chair of the committee, and he said it's okay to pay this invoice.
Yeah, and that was the final invoice, obviously, for the CPC plan.
Okay, well, entertain a motion to approve these 3 invoices for
I make a motion to approve the 3 invoices presented tonight, totaling $13,347.99.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, voice vote. Mike, aye.
Rick, aye.
Brian, aye.
Kathy, aye.
Yeah, thank you. And then the minutes. Are there any comments on the minutes that Lauren sent around from the last meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from June 30th.
For a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mike, aye.
Rick, aye.
Brian, aye.
Kathy, aye.
I think you said everybody.
Yeah, Chris is the only other one, but
Chris,
It's, We've got a white screen and usually she's got background noise, but she doesn't look muted tonight, so not sure if there's other audio issues going on there.
Sometimes she will send a chat.
Yep.
So Chris, if you can hear us, send a chat, but we'll just say by majority vote for now. For both those votes. Okay, on to the main agenda, account updates. Rick sent around something, I think, for May roughly, or was it June? Really, there haven't been any significant changes. I don't think anything has been added to our accounts from any CPA distributions.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if everybody was on it. I know I think I had replied back to you and Lauren was on it. I'm not so
okay.
sure. I'm not so
Okay.
sure if everybody was there. So
could you share it?
yeah,
Rick?
give me 1 second. Yeah, so as if you guys can see the screen now.
We can.
Looks like it's there. Okay, so basically, it was still for fiscal year 25. I think the last general ledger update that I saw from Kenny was from May, right? And obviously, times around the end of the fiscal year starts to bog down a little bit just in terms of the amount of time it takes to close the year-end books. But I didn't see any changes in the overall CPA fund reserve items. Other budget, there was a minor change within some of the administrative expenses, but nothing that, nothing that's alarming. I think then the full list of CPA projects here, a lot of these ones with zeros, those are the ones that we agreed on much earlier in this fiscal year to kind of close those off the books, and rightfully so. There's a lot that have $0 balances now. And there's some other, there were some other minor changes from Lakes and Ponds, and I think one other number from affordable housing was changed by a couple $100. So nothing major.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Any questions on this, folks? Alrighty, thank you, Rick.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, so next is funded project updates. Just a couple short things. Robertson Trail Bridge. We've been informed that the request for proposals for the bridge should go out next week, and with an award scheduled probably for middle September. Fingers crossed on that one. It's taken a long time to get to this point. For the Pratt Mill Pond Management Plan, work is actively underway. The contractor is working on it. They've been out a couple of times to Pratt Pond, looking at the environmental conditions there. And it's underway. So, number 3, potential CPA funded projects update. The one I listed here was the North Street Fay Mountain Road property, the Mackey property. I think we can assume this is not going to be a CPA project. SVT has stepped up and has offered to purchase the property. Right now, it appears that the owners will be selling 35 acres to SVT. And there won't be any funding required from the town. SVT will own the property. And this parcel, probably around 35 acres, will be adjacent to the town's Forest Heights property off of North Street. So be able to take this off the agenda. Next thing is I asked Mike and Lauren to prepare some draft warrant articles for the fall town meeting. I think the warrant will close a couple days after the CPC committee's September meeting. That same week, I think it closes Friday, the week after we meet on a Wednesday. But I thought it would be worthwhile starting to get these warrant articles underway. Michael informed me that 12B Milford Street, probably, which is a land acquisition, that the selectmen have been working on, and that will, I guess, probably be funded in some other way. Mike, is that correct?
Yeah, I spoke with town manager. It was going to be his recommendation, and I apologize. I should have followed up with him ahead of this meeting about it because it was on the select board agenda last night to, I believe, maybe execute an offer on it. So they are in the process, and I know the town manager is engaging appraisal services to validate whatever offer was made to the owners. But as far as funding source, it was going to be the town manager's recommendation to use, I think the term is free cash for that, but not there's no request right now for CPA funding, right? And I think the thinking behind that was a couple things, and just not wanting to tie it down to open space if the town had any other type of need in the future for that parcel.
Mike,
Mind you, it is in a business district.
Mike, what land is that? 12. This is 12B Main.
Yeah, let me bring it up. I'll show it. It's that little peninsula. It has a name attached to it, but from what I've heard. It's not a commonly known name, but it's a peninsula behind Fin and Feather that jets out into the pond there. That it's completely landlocked by meaning no access by road, but it obviously has water frontage. But it has no frontage via land and road to access it.
So Brian, do you know where Salon Richard Anthony is?
Yep.
If you take the driveway to get in there, I think that's an easement. And if you keep going, if you just go down that driveway, the land is what they're talking about.
And how big is that parcel?
It's about a little less than 2 acres, I think.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it would be a really nice acquisition. I mean, it was on the came on the market, and was listed at around $300,000. But the last time I looked a couple days ago, I didn't see it listed. So it may be off the market. I'm not sure.
Well, it's got that dilapidated house on it too that would have to be torn down. So.
Yeah, but so it'd be real nice if you could possibly, if you had some sort of an easement across, I guess it's called Lot 0, that shoebox shaped lot, you could get to Heritage Park, which would be really nice to be able to get to Heritage Park from the town center.
There is, I believe there is discussion about appraising that parcel as well. Obviously, it's a useless parcel with regard to development. As you can see, there's wetlands that run up the entire length of it, right? So it'd be impossible to get really anything onto that piece of land except for maybe a small walkway that provides foot traffic access to 12B. So I think they're evaluating offering on that parcel as well. I think there's an existing easement, which I think Kathy was alluding to, that runs either through 10 or 12 in order to get to the parcel 12B. But as of right now, there's no request for CPA funding for either of those things.
All right, thanks, Michael. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Let's see the other items. Michael and Lauren sent around some draft. I'm not sure if they sent to everybody or not. Sent some draft articles. I'm going to try to show them. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try to share. Try to share. Share. And I'm clicking on. So I'm going to go this way. Shoot. Okay. Bear with me for a minute here. All right, let me try again here. Share. I'm not sure why it's not letting me. What am I doing wrong here? Can you see it?
I can see it now.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, sorry about that. Let me expand it just a bit here. Okay, this is the first one I'm showing is for the first cemetery restoration. I took a real quick look at these like about 20 minutes ago. There might be other potential edits, but I added Chair Community Preservation Committee as from, and then I added the project will be managed by the Historical Commission. So far, that's all the only changes I thought about. I don't know if anyone wants to take a minute to read this, and if you have any other suggested edits, why don't we do that right now? And we also have time to make additional edits to this in September.
And Mike, I think I did copy the rest of the committee on this when I sent it out. So
Okay, okay, great.
So if this is hard to look at through the screen here, you should have access to it in your email.
And is this pretty similar aligned? I know, I think Alfred, you're on. I think this was part of the cemetery piece, right? So this I think 2 meetings ago, maybe that June meeting, you had come in. We talked quite a bit about the stones and restoration and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what the information that Lauren used to draft this.
Yeah. Okay. That's. I wanted to make sure I was tying it together with that previous meeting. That's all.
Yeah. I think what we should do is, if we have any comments, make them now, and then send them around to the proponents. Like this one would go to the Historical Commission, let them review it as well before it's submitted to the selectmen. So. All right, if it's nothing else on this one, I'll try to get to the next one.
Maybe the only thing while you're getting to the next one, right, of just, I don't mind the wording and stuff that's being shown here. Assuming when we do the posting and do an official meeting, to deliberate and everything else for for the approval of trying to go forward for that. Obviously, be looking for some further breakdown and, the 4 to 6 broken stones. All right, is there a breakdown on the cost of those? The replacement of headstones? What's the costing and that type of stuff of just, I think it would be in our best interest to at least have some kind of numeric breakdown of how we got to that 125. That's all.
I agree. Mhm. All right.
Mike, where would this come out of? The Historical Preservation Fund special account?
Well,
Jeff?
that's a good question. It's not, it is not set, it's not called out here. But I would, I do believe the historical preservation has enough funding, and it probably should come out of that account. So if there's no objection, why don't we add that for this one? The only problem is the next one is more expensive, I believe. And Rick, you showed the how much is in the historical account?
The historic resources one.
Yeah.
It's like 286. Well, actually, hold on. There was a transfer in. It's actually showing it like just around 318 right now.
Yeah. So so there could be an issue funding both of these. And then I'm wondering, we need to check and see, does the town hall bond payment come out of historical? It may. We need to research this, I think. Mike and Lauren.
The town hall
Bond payment, which will be in the
I believe town hall
in
does
May.
come out of historical. What I'm looking at is, I think, Rick, maybe the same thing you have, but I see CPA-HP-STM fiscal year 09 town hall. So I imagine that means that the way that's denoted is Community Preservation Act dash historical preservation dash special town meeting. That's the name of the account.
Yeah.
In the warrant, I think too, from the May meeting, because I think we had to approve the town hall payment as we do every year, I believe.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so. And then I think monies get allocated and shifted from maybe undesignated account into that account to cover that piece. So it may not sit in a specific CPA project account. Right. If I'm trying to do better at learning how Kenny, does his accounting systems. It's not as clear as when I used to manually do my own, like, balancing my checkbook, which I haven't done in ages.
Well, I think it's worth researching this, because the next article I'll show is also a fair amount of money. So we probably should have an answer where we want to pull funds for these from, whether it's historical or undesignated.
Yeah.
And there's plenty in undesignated. There's, I think, almost 2 million in undesignated right now. So that's
Yep.
it's not a problem.
And Mike, another point is, I think Rick, you had May balances, and as you pointed out, some the special town, not special town, the annual town meeting, the 10% transfer approval.
Yeah.
I know on the housing account that has, and as a few weeks ago, it had not been done yet. I think the warrant had to be no, I could have the wrong words, but state had to approve something. We expected that to be in August.
Yep.
And then that would allow the transfers. That's my understanding. I don't know if that's accurate.
And that might be the case, right? And the unfortunate part is, you know, I think we all run a little, all boards kind of run a little blind for a month or two, if not three, right? In terms of all the ins and outs, revenue accounting, expense accounting. I think most of the expense accounting is now done. I'm not so sure about the revenue side of it to finalize the year end, the 2025 fiscal books anyway, right? And then what does that mean in terms of the 2026 starting positions? It's coming.
Mike, through you, I guess, could I ask that an action be taken, maybe through Mike or Lauren, to help us determine when would we see the transfer of funds approved at the annual town meeting?
Yeah, we can, Mike, through the chair, we can look into that for sure. Just for reference, there was an email from Kenny that went out on like a week or so ago, July 21. Oh no, that's a different one. Where is it? I lost it. But anyway, he sent out another email that just had the general ledger on it a couple weeks ago. So he didn't send out his typical, like Rick, you were mentioning. He sent out the May ledgers that included the revenue and the expense accounts. Yep. But he just sent out a general ledger only a couple weeks ago, and obviously that doesn't have the information you're looking for. So I assume that means that those those transfers have yet to happen. But I can certainly I'll send Kenny an email right now and ask him when he expects to have that in.
Because my assumption is that he posts that in, and it allocates those funds as part of the 2026 budget, right? So we may not see it in a 2025 ledger, but we will probably see it at the start of the 2026 ledger once that gets done. That's my assumption. So are you still trying to bring up the other one, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just doing it right now. So you should no longer be seeing the first one, right?
Correct.
And Mike, we Lauren and I will add the specific accounts that the individual funding will be coming out of to these warrant articles, but we'll work with you on that on the drafts. I'm just looking at the last town meeting warrant and noticing that obviously those are mentioned in the articles.
Yeah.
Can you folks see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's small, but I can see it.
Oh, okay. I'll expand it again here. Is that better?
Yes.
It is for me.
Okay. So this one is for the other cemeteries, the one proposed by the Cemetery Commission. Similar to the first one, I just added chair there, and then I added project will be managed by the Cemetery Commission. And again, this will have same question, where's funding going to come from? But 400,000, certainly be looking at undesignated, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think this one probably has to, right?
Yeah.
Because this, yeah.
So, there are some edits here, like we're talking in the description, we're talking maximum 400,000, but I think for the actual article, we should have it firmed up. Just one number, one proposed number. And again, I would suggest, we send this off to the Cemetery Commission, and get any comments from them in advance of our September meeting.
Yeah.
Mike, just have a quick question. Is there a reason, because I know the finance committee, like a lot of times, prefers it if stuff is sequenced. Is there a reason why we want to do all cemeteries at the same time? Or, should we divide it into phases and make it clear that we're starting this part of the work and then another part of the work? I mean, is it cheaper because people are looking at the headstones all at once? And is there a reason why we want the whole 400,000 at one time?
Well, I think it just happens that the two committees have approached this pretty much at the same time, and they have different responsibilities. The Historical Commission is the first cemetery, and the other cemeteries are under the control of the Cemetery Commission.
Oh, no, I meant, but why I was talking specifically, I understand that, but I'm talking specifically about this $400,000. Like, I mean, is it possible to do, and I'm just doing it in the order they appear here, Lakeview first, Maplewood second, like phase one is Lakeview, and then in the Springtown meeting, we'll come back from Maplewood, and then next year we'll be coming back for Pine Grove. I mean, is it possible to divide it into phases? Because I think that might be a more digestible way for the town to embrace it.
Sure. But we can certainly talk about that when we're having hearings on these. Well, I guess we're going to have to, at some point, we're going to have to vote whether or not to have a hearing. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just listening to Paul Flaherty play in my head right now.
Well,
cover your ears.
And with that, though, I mean, is it two different teams that are supporting each of these efforts?
Yes.
It's not one overarching,
No.
group that has a hand in both. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and as I understand it, they're
Lakeview,
two groups.
Maplewood, and Pine Grove are all Cemetery Commission. But the other one, the first one, it's historic. It's not a working cemetery anymore. So that's a historical society one.
All right, got it.
So
I foresee that question coming of, well,
yeah,
how can we have two things on the docket for, both for cemetery stuff, but now that makes sense because one's really historical and the other's technically through DPW overseeing Cemetery Commission, right? Because I think that's how that piece of it works. So, okay, I get it now. Maybe the only concern that I have, and this may end up tying back into the Trail Bridge piece, and it just dawned on me, is there a time frame? Because usually we approve things, with a, 1 or 2 year, type of rollout, and then, then it's done and would have to come back, right? And I actually think that the one for the Trail Bridge is at the 2 years, is already actually past the 2 years.
Rick, I checked the Trail Bridge article, and there wasn't a time limit on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
I was very
it's
worried
only
about
if
that
we
for
put a
while.
time limit on it it does it have a counter? Okay.
Yeah, but that one in particular doesn't have, but certainly worth talking about whether or not to put something on these.
Yeah, I was trying to channel my inner Paul Carey, right, of going, because I think he started getting into a pattern where we were trying to put, durations on all these projects, right?
Mm.
So it just wasn't an open-ended book. So, something like this, and reason being, I can see these going on where this is a 2, 3, 2 to 5 year project in order to go around getting them all cleaned up appropriately, right? Where we'd want to keep that funding source open for, longer than a 2-year window. That's all. And I may be wrong, but someone else might be able to come back in and go, no, our project plan would have all of the count of stones that we have in the docket. Those could all either be repaired, replaced, within, the next year and a half or 2.5 years. And, then we can agree on a time frame that's appropriate.
So would you suggest we add something to this draft article? Maybe even with a project can be completed within blank years, and let them come back.
No, not
Proponent come back.
So I want to separate. Yeah, sorry if I misled you on that. I think I don't think we need that for the warrant article per se. So sorry if I'm kind of mixing my apples and oranges. I'm thinking when we publicize this and have the official meeting in order to kind of move it from the open meeting to the an agenda meeting, right? That goes through and covers these. I think that's where we'd want all that data spelled out, right? And we would want to know. I think we'd probably want, again, the breakdown in cost and maybe somewhat of a project plan of how long we think it's going to take, right? And then based on that, we could then put a time limit on it afterwards, saying, assuming we all agree that it's a good thing to do and go forward, it's needed, and let's see if we can put a time bound wrapper around them.
Okay.
A question, Mike. Made a Rick. Rick, are you suggesting? When do you suggest that language, putting the time around it, be done at the public hearing when the cemetery?
At the public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so it would be on the actual warrant that is voted at the special town meeting. That language.
No, I don't know if it needs to be there, or just the fact of the matter that in the public meeting that we have the rest of the data that goes behind the warrant, right? We don't need to get in, the warrant at town meeting doesn't have to go through, every I dot and T cross, because they're trusting that we've done our due diligence, right, in the public meeting. So I'm hoping we can have that for public meeting reference. And then, assuming it's an approved denial, right, we can have it noted in our meeting minutes for public meeting, to the point where, this just gets a favorable action or non-favorable action.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I do agree with your suggestion of a time-bound approval. I think that's wise, especially when this is going to be using potentially. I read maybe a nonprofit group, so I'm reading into that maybe incorrectly, volunteer labor, so that therefore can make the time period longer. But I am in agreement with a time period, and wherever that is binding, whether it's that public meeting, that's great, or at the town meeting floor, or the warrant, or the article, I guess. Then, as long as it is recognized that this is the time period, that so we can always hold that group accountable and pull back the funds if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We could, just a thought, we could maybe not add the strict timeline to the warrant, but we could, to the description, we could add a line saying project is expected to be completed in X years, something like that. And that wouldn't bind them, to the warrant, the town meeting vote, the warrant, but it would give people some sense of, what the time frame is.
Yeah.
How does that sound? Or is that,
It's good with me.
Mike, are you suggesting it's still going to be written in the article though, in like the summary
no.
description?
no, I'm suggesting it would be in the summary description, not the article itself.
Okay. I'm just concerned somebody would read that in the future and then say you're tied to it somehow. I don't know. You might know better than I.
Yeah, and even if it's not there, I think as long as we've had the discussion about it and it's in our meeting minutes for that, that open meeting, right? Or the public meeting, I think where, we have a time frame of being able to go back and reference it if needed.
Sure.
And I think that the committee does have the ability to basically pull the funding from any article if for non-performance.
Okay.
You never had to do that, but I've seen it done in other towns where I don't know if anyone ever reads the Hopkinton Independent paper, really great town paper. And there's often a section in there, half a page on CPC activities. And some months ago, they got into a little bit of a discussion with one of the other boards, and I think they actually pulled the funding on something because they weren't happy with the progress of it. There's something to think about. Not that hopefully we'll never get to that point. But
we just did that to about 13 articles this past year, right? We wiped out all the funding against it. Now they were all dormant, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, well, they were. Yeah, they were all completed, and we did ask for input from all those all those groups. So
understood.
Anyway. Okay.
Understood. Yeah.
So all right. One couple more here.
Right. And maybe while you're pulling that one, the next one up, that undesignated one, we'll have to keep monitoring, right? Because if we did, with the school committee stuff, right? If we've agreed to 100,000 a year, right, or up to 100,000 a year, and I know that's one of the other discussion points we'll have. Oh, look at that, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of watching for that, what that undesignated account continues to look like over time.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the school project. Here, I had two suggested edits. One is just again to note who's managing it. And then also here, I leave open that potentially could be undesignated funds or open space and rec, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah,
I guess what
I
I'm
don't know if
thinking
it's,
is
I don't know if it's open space and rec because it's really, most of these things are maintenance items, right? I mean, some of it's a relayout and they're going to change the way a lot of it's going to happen, but it's really revitalizing existing elements. So it's in a funny spot, right? Because I mean, I know CPA funds, not supposed to be used for maintenance, right? And there's a fine line there. So I think we had all approved previously that would support up to the 100,000. And I guess in my mind, using it with a undesignated account left it open for really school support. That was just me. So
Any other thoughts on that? I kind of agree with that. The reason I thought about adding undesignated was, you know, this is potentially the first of like many years doing this. And, you know, it's possible that, you know, 10 years from now, the open space and recreation account, you know, maybe there'll be a Trask project bonded that will use most of that funds, you know,
Right.
or some open space project that comes along, gets bonded, that uses a lot of those funds. So I thought it'd be good to keep it open.
Yeah.
But if what would be the consensus if I delete open space and recreation, just say undesignated? Is that okay with people at this point? Any thoughts?
Mike, what were you saying? I'm just thinking out loud. Alternatively, can we transfer on an annual basis from undesignated to open space and recreation funds? And does that help our visibility to how much we have approved and allotted to recreation, open space and recreation by doing it that way? I'm thinking out loud here, so.
Yeah, you can. You know, the law, the act, the Community Preservation Act requires the 10% distribution minimum. You know, you could at any particular year at town meeting, you know, put 20% into historical, or, you know, 20% into open space rec. You just have to do the minimum, but there's nothing that says you can't transfer more out of undesignated at any time.
And that requires, though, a town meeting vote?
Town meeting, that would be a town meeting vote, yeah.
I view that as well, either way, we'd have to get the town meeting to approve from the undesignated fund to this $100,000 every year. Okay. But it's kind of like a two-step process then. One would have to be to shift the funds, transfer the funds, and then the second would be to approve the project on an annual basis. So it's 2 steps versus 1. So
Yeah.
I kind of like
one might be
easier
better.
approach.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, well, you know, unless we're not moving other dollars around, right? If we're still moving other dollars that can account for the 10%, right? Then I think we're good. If we think that there's a chance where we're not moving 10% to one of those other designated accounts, then I don't necessarily have, you know, I'll change my tune a little bit and go, for safety purposes, if we put something else over that says, you know, hey, we've got this other account, and I don't care if it's open space or the rec one, that says we're going to bring it into that one, and then that's the same one we're going to pay out of. So I get it. It's a pass through, but it allows us to check the box to say that, you know, the 10% was moved to those other accounts to stay in compliance. You know, maybe I'm okay with that too. I don't know if that's a legal thing that would want to, you know, that would need to check out to make sure that we're not evading or, you know, trying to exclude or evade the general purpose of the funds. You know what I mean? So I just don't want us to get in trouble by doing something along those lines if it's not correct.
Okay, so I guess the question again, should we leave this how it is, or should we delete open space and recreation funds? What's the consensus at this point?
So
Mike, can we revisit this?
Go ahead, Brian.
Tighten up the language? Is it another chance to do so?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a first draft.
So at this point in time, I would suggest leave it as is. So it gives us that flexibility. And then as we learn more to some of Rick's questions, what maybe Kenny might want to weigh in too as to how he does his accounting here. Does it matter to him? I don't know if it would or would not.
Okay. All right, so for now, let's leave it how it is.
But in essence, we could get guidance and just find out, okay, when's, what is the guidance there on how they see that 100,000 coming through. Certainly Joe's been involved in it. Does he see that just coming directly from the undesignated funds and we're done type thing? Or, would he recommend that it goes through some other account out of the undesignated into a different holding area, knowing that that'll then get paid out from there?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. I know when we had that hearing or that meeting back in late April,
Yeah.
the Mendon town manager and then one of the select board members from Mendon kind of got into the weeds about how to manage these funds. And we really didn't probably need to go into the weeds at that time, but they dove in, and but maybe now's the time we need to think a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I can write something up if you want, Mike, and send it over to Joe and just ask what he thinks about this particular one.
Sure.
Right. So let's leave it the way it's written today, and knowing that we'll have an opportunity to update it in a future meeting.
Okay. That's good. All right. So there's one more talk about Holy Angels. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So
one correction that should be made on this is Lauren should add herself as an author, because she wrote these.
Well,
to recognize all the work that she does. Mike, I'm ready whenever you are. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, we could put Lauren's name on here instead of yours if you want, or
no,
I was going to wait until after they
to...
were critiqued, and then the final version I could put my name on.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I do think it should, part of the from should be from the committee rather than
that's yes
only staff. So anyway, so this warrant, I think with Lauren, you didn't quite get to finishing this one. So we don't have the language.
Can you go back to the beginning of it? I know we get sent a copy. I just have this in front of me and not my copy.
Yeah. So we're still waiting for data to come back on this, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so, and I don't.
2 questions. Has
I'll go for it.
town meeting approved some work a couple years ago? I think at least a year ago, and that's still pending, right? That hasn't been done.
Yeah. So, Mike, through the chair, that they approved painting, I think it was, and so, but the issue with the painting, so Criterium is the architect that was hired to look at the structure, and their initial findings that were reported to the select board, I think it was May 18th was that meeting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Their comments were that the exterior was in such a condition that putting paint on it that paint would just fall right off. I mean, not immediately, but like very much sooner than you would want to reapply another coat of paint. So part of the recommendations are going to be doing some residing and some touching up of the exterior before applying paint. So that's the reason why paint hasn't been applied to the structure yet, is because of what I just said, and per what the architect found. they will be giving hopefully final findings in a presentation August 26th at the select board. So I'll coordinate with Mike and Lauren to potentially and probably post a CPC agenda for that night. It'd be good to attend that, since this will be once we have hopefully we will have a final number that includes some of what you see on this article right now. I told Lauren and Mike to just leave it as is right now. I imagine with the description of that, the restoration of Holy Angels Church, including sill plates, siding, roof work, first floor structural modifications, maybe, fire sprinklers, probably not, HVAC, probably not, ADA compliance, probably not, testing and remediation of asbestos, lead, and paint and mold, and flashing of large first floor windows. All of that probably will be requested. So, but eliminating fire sprinklers, egress, HVAC, and ADA, that probably won't be incorporated into this first request. Because it'll be a substantial request, I imagine. The estimate, and it was a verbal estimate, and it was a very large range estimate from the architect in that first meeting, was somewhere between 300 and 600,000 for everything except for what Mike crossed out on the screen. So go ahead.
I have two questions for you. So it has to do again with phasing. So painting is being put into this request, even though there's already been funding appropriated for painting, like at a town meeting of 2 years ago. It says exterior facade improvements and painting. So is this additional painting to that was already approved by town meeting?
Yeah, that's a good question. That could probably be removed if that money is already there available for the exterior painting. It was intended on paying for that. That has not been done. So
okay.
We probably don't need to wrap that into this request.
Okay. And is it possible to know how much money was appropriated? Because I don't know that off the top of my head.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but we can certainly find out.
Yeah.
I don't know what town meeting that was approved at. I don't think it was last town meeting. Was it special town meeting?
No, I
It
think
might have been.
Yeah, I thought it was like this Springtown meeting a year ago. I thought, I mean, not last. Yeah, I thought it was a while ago.
That makes sense. You know what? It probably was spring of 2024. I'll look really quickly, see if I can get an answer to that right now.
Okay. And the other question I had is, some of this stuff like, rotten walls, sill plate, siding, roof work. But when we're talking first floor structural modifications, and, we don't know how it's going to be used yet, right? I mean, there's a lot of talk about it being used as an art center, but, until you have a design for the art center, isn't it premature to do first floor, or is this like basic support beams that are collapsing?
Correct. This is more for basic support of the structure. What this will not intend to do is accommodate any specific use right now. We'd be looking to fund only the things to bring that structure up to a specific level of code, and then anything above and beyond, like I said, HVAC systems, ADA compliance, that'll all be dependent upon who goes in there and what their floor plans are, or what the town decides should go in there, what the town decides the floor plan should be, based on whatever the future plans are for the structure. But the intent right now is to address pressing needs in order to preserve the structure and get it to a level that it's hey, you don't have to, if the town sells it or uses it for their own purposes, we're at least at some sort of starting point with regard to an accessible, usable structure, because right now it's not usable.
Okay. And then a third question is, which to follow up on what you just said, I think there was a recent conversation about this And I know it's been an ongoing conversation about whether it makes more sense to tear the building down. And I'm not advocating for that. But I'm just wondering if the, who was it that did the architectural? Is it BHC that did the?
Oh, so it was, yeah, it was BSC Group did it wasn't architecturals, it was conceptual layout plans for redevelopment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was more footprint than anything.
Okay, but on this one, I mean, was there a tear down option? Or was it?
Yeah,
is it
that had 4 different visions in it. One of them, I think, was it one or two of them? One of them not recommended, but showed the possibility of the church remaining in place and being rehabbed and reused. Another option showed it being demolished and incorporated into a smaller but larger building. And then I think the third option was it showing being demolished and showing a much larger structure
Okay.
there. So just it's hard to describe obviously in words without showing,
Yeah.
but
No, I'm just trying to figure out, because if we appropriate, and I'm just making up this figure based on your, the top range, $600,000 to stabilize this building so that it doesn't fall down, is that the highest and best use of the funds? And I'm just wondering if we're jumping ahead of that before putting it to town meeting, you want to save the building or not? I mean, I don't know if a decision's ever been made on that. I tend to think that the voters will say, yeah, they do. But I mean, I know there was a structure recently that I talked to a company about, and they basically said it doesn't make sense to do anything to it. You should just tear it down, because it would cost 500 grand to fix it. So, and I'm just wondering if this is the type of thing, if, we should, if we should make a decision of what we want to do. I mean, I just another thought is that the group that wants to put the art center in there at the last town meeting, didn't they get authorization to spend money on a feasibility study to look at that? Or, oh, thank you, Rick. It's 2023, 63,000.
Oh.
But didn't they get? And we're throwing a lot of money at a building that we don't even know what we're doing with yet. Because again, I think this group, this arts group, and again, I'm not, it seems to me, it's a really neat use. But I think, didn't they get, I'm not sure who else was at town meeting, but didn't they get the funds to do a study on the feasibility of it as an art center?
I'm not aware of that funding.
I'm pretty sure they did at the last town meeting, because I remember it was really, they had
Kathy,
really passionate speakers.
I think, and Mike through the chair, I think, Kathy, what you're referring to is the architect that I mentioned earlier. So there was $9,000 that was approved to hire an architecture firm to evaluate the structural integrity of the building.
Yeah.
And touch on some of the things that got crossed out in this draft article, right? So, so do all that stuff. So the original intent was more of a all-encompassing, like develop like floor plans for a gathering space type use, more in line with what you're saying, Kathy. And that was an insanely high cost. It was like $100,000 or something like that to do that level of study, that they would plan out every detail of a new building. And then so we shaved off some of the scope on that and refined it to more of what you're seeing in front of you with what's crossed out, as far as what a review of the building for structural integrity, a review of the building to bring it up to a certain level of code that somebody can take it and move into it and then make their own tweaks and figure out how to make the building suit their needs.
So this study
yeah.
was basically funded at the 2040 special, 2024 special town meeting? And so it was funded, contracted, done in
Was it
6 months?
what
It
might have
it was at the very last town meeting, the special town meeting.
yeah,
There was, or was it the?
it
oh
might
God,
have been
Robert.
annual.
Actually, it was 2000. It was the annual town meeting. It was a spring town meeting
Yeah.
where they
This
talked
past
very
one.
passionately about and I don't know what it was for, but it had to do with an art center and this building. And it was approved. Rick, do you have the warrant for the spring 2025 meeting in front of you?
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But
'Cause
that
I-
was to hire the architectural firm that I'm referring to. That act. I don't think there was. I could be wrong. I don't think there was a different article on for that meeting.
But this was not the result of that vote in May 2025. This was a May 2025 meeting. So what was ever voted on at that town meeting
Yes,
hasn't been done yet.
this is the first part of the result of that. So the findings that are coming out of hiring that architecture firm is what the recommendation for cost that you see before you or don't see before you, right? So all I have is a very big range of numbers right now. But that article funded hiring this architecture firm to evaluate the structure and what needs to happen to it to bring it up to some relative today's code. And the first step to that will be addressing the more structural and exterior components of that review. And,
no, I understand what you're saying, Michael, but what we have up here was not the result of the spring 2025, the town meeting that was 3 months ago or 4 months ago. This is the result of I do believe, a town meeting vote at an earlier town meeting. I don't think this whole thing could have been voted on, funded, contracted since after May 1st, 2025. And so I'm just trying to figure, because what I'm trying to figure out is we're throwing a lot of money at this building. And I'm trying to figure out what we threw at in the springtime. And I'm staring at Rick's little picture here as he's pouring a warrant at the town meeting. Because that's, I just think that we should figure out what we want to do before we spend more money on it. So.
Yeah, so Article 27, yeah, $9,825 to do that assessment.
So is that this assessment that you're talking about?
yes.
Oh, and you was able to be, so the Trail Bridge took like 5 years to do it, and this one took 3 months?
Yeah.
I didn't know the town could do that. I'm sorry,
not
Mike,
gonna
for
make any
doubting you. I
comments.
should know better than that. You're perfect. Oh,
So I guess compounding on this. So obviously, Mike, you had said bringing the building up to code and all that type of stuff. Wouldn't code mean sprinklers, alarms, HVAC, and ADA compliance?
It does, but this first request for funding, I mean, including all of that, I'm eager to hear the number that will be presented on August 26th. I don't think a request through the CPA for a special town meeting this year will be able to fund all of that.
So but I think, to Kathy's point, and I think where she may be leading here, and if I've picked up the breadcrumbs correctly, we've got a painting number, we've got another assessment piece, we've got this, I'm not going to say half half demonstrated number that could be anywhere up to, 600,000-ish or more, without the big, some of the other big items that have significant costs associated with that too, which just means there's yet another cost that's going to be coming after it. You know what I
There
mean?
absolutely will be another cost after this, 100%. So I very much encourage the committee to not make any decisions tonight relative to this request, because you don't really have a request before you. This is just a little bit of information.
Yeah, okay.
I very much hope and have been told that Criterium Dudka, the architecture firm that's doing this report, will have a final report and final presentation with final numbers on August 26th at the select board. And I think in that meeting, you can really get into, hopefully, a lot of these questions that you're asking, and even, Kathy, a lot of these policy questions that you're asking, which I think is at the heart of it, which is, what is the future of this structure? What is the town going to agree is the future of this structure? Right now as staff, I'm just marching forward with these asks. I'm happy to do whatever the town wants to see happen with this building.
Sure.
So we're pursuing funding options. I'm sure we'll be looking at grants in the future too, once a vision is settled on. But yeah, these questions I think really should be addressed with the select board at that meeting.
Got it. Makes sense.
Okay, well, one question is, Mike mentioned the possibility of us having a posted meeting on the 26th. How does the committee feel about that? Is there availability? Would you like a joint meeting with the select board posted for that day? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, Mike, we could always just post, and if there isn't a quorum, you just don't call it to order. But if you're asking for like other business, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
were you done with that statement, Mike? Or just wanted to make
Who,
sure
me?
you were done stating what you were stating.
Mike's here.
I'm done. I don't know which mic you're
Okay.
talking to. Sorry.
All right. So this is the select board meeting, right? So, I guess, yeah, if a quorum of us is all there, whether online or in person, does that need to be posted, right? Certainly last Monday's thing, or was it Tuesday, whatever day that was, right? There wasn't, there was a meeting that was posted, just as a general overall meeting. I don't think any of us did individual meetings based on our commissions that we were a part of, right? So
They were posted, but nobody opened a meeting. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it's just a matter of all right. So if it's posted and nobody opens it, but we're all there, or a percentage of us is there, then maybe that if that covers us, then yeah, we're probably okay.
All right. So if there's no objection, then we'll post that as a CPC meeting as well as a select board meeting. And
What
decide
time is
what
that meeting, so I can put it in my calendar?
They've been starting their meetings at 6 o'clock. But I'll get that information out to the committee as far as when it's anticipated that you'll be on for the on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder if FinCom will want to be part of that too. They will. Sure. And give them the option, Michael.
Sure.
All right.
It's interesting that the select board meetings aren't actually on the calendar. It's just interesting. I would have thought that they would have been posted.
Yeah, planning board, most boards don't. We usually, I mean, planning board and Affordable Housing Trust, I think, go up 2 days in advance.
Yeah, I'm with you on the boards and committees that typically ends up happening, but I guess I just would have assumed that the select board ones, knowing that they're pretty fixed in terms of the, when they meet, that those would be ones that are on that are already posted. That's all.
Okay.
Was there one last night, or is it this upcoming Tuesday that they have their next one? Usually
It was last
Is it-
night.
Is it it was last night? So there
Mhm.
wasn't even one, there's not even one that was posted for last night, so on the calendar. That just seems weird. That's all.
Oh, if you're looking at the front page calendar, it doesn't show you yesterday. It only highlights meetings that are going forward, just for last night's meeting. It goes away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never tried going backwards.
Yeah.
So,
You can go
okay.
backwards if you go into the agenda center and look at individual boards and committees and look at them. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this topic. There's no objection. We'll send around some draft warrant articles to the school district, to the cemetery commission, historical, and maybe hold off on this the church one until the meeting on the 26th. And I think that's it. Any other unanticipated topics? Anything else anyone would like to talk about tonight?
Mike,
Yes, Brian.
just, I saw that the Pratt Pond beach was closed I think for an extended period of time. And it's my understanding it's probably related to the birds and the geese and other issues. I'm not sure if that's true. But is there any, that's a possible use? Just to me, it was sad to see a beach closed in town and the season's so short to begin with.
Yep.
So I don't know if whatever department or committee is responsible for that, if they potentially could maybe use some of our funds to try to prevent that, if it's possible in the future. So the kids can use the beach all summer.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I can
ahead.
I can kind of fill in, but well, we are doing the management plan for Pratt and Mill Pond, and part of that plan will hopefully address options for this. And this was a cyanobacteria or blue-green algal bloom. The rec director took some pictures of this surface bloom right at the beach, right along the edge of the beach. And those photos were sent to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health, I believe, sent them to the state health department, who recommended closing it. And then there's a protocol for taking after it's closed, you take a sample. If the levels of the cyanobacteria are low enough, you take a sample another week. So if you get two acceptable samples, then you can reopen. And that's what happened here.
Yep.
This is a very similar thing happened last year. There was a small surface bloom right adjacent to the beach last year. So it's nothing to do with the geese. It's not like a E. coli type bacteria or anything like that. It's cyanobacteria, which is blue-green algae. The algae can produce toxins, which are dangerous to human health and pets. So abundance of caution.
Yep.
And I actually, probably like 6 hours after the photo was taken, I went out there. I was going to try to take a sample, and the bloom was gone. Surface bloom had been probably, maybe the wave actions changed a little bit, and the waves just stirred it up, and it was gone.
So there's nothing to do to prevent that though, correct? I mean, as you
Well,
said, this was really temporary and not, obviously not, it's unfortunate the beach had to be closed, but is there anything that causes this or?
it's high nutrient levels cause it, and there are, and probably phosphorus, and there
So
are
that's
some things
septic systems.
you
So
can
that's the
do
septic systems?
to kind of dial back the nutrient levels in a pond. And that's what, we're going to be asking our consultant who's doing the pond study to weigh in on. There's ways you can add a chemical to the pond which binds the phosphorus, and theoretically, if you've got less phosphorus in the system, you're less likely to have the blue-green or cyanobacteria bloom. Pratt Pond is fairly eutrophic. The phosphorus levels are pretty high. And the question is going to be is it time to try to do something about that, or just keep an eye on it, for some number of years?
Like
Yeah,
what causes those high levels you mentioned?
Well, right now the pond is probably, it can be two causes. Nutrients coming in to the pond from the watershed. That's one cause. Another thing, which I think is happening a lot at Pratt Pond, is internal recycling of phosphorus. There's a lot of phosphorus on the bottom of the pond in the sediments, and under certain conditions, that phosphorus gets released into the surface water. And we're actually we have data now for a couple of years which show this happening. Basically, we're taking Lakes and Ponds Committee is taking water samples every month this summer, and we've shown basically at depth there's not much oxygen, and when there's not much oxygen, that's a condition that allows the phosphorus to be released.
Mike, just a question, not to prolong this meeting, but there was a meeting, I forgot what it was a meeting of a couple of years ago, and someone was talking about walking along the shore of Pratt. I think I think it might have been a planning board because they were talking about putting some more houses in there or rezoning it or something. And there's actually there's a seepage of septic waste into the pond on the bank. And so isn't a good way to stop this contamination to like really require an upgrade of the septic systems that line the pond? So they don't leak into the pond?
Yeah, the Board of Health should be on that. If you know where that is, if you could maybe mark it up on a map and let us know. And that's the kind of thing our contractor is supposed to be focusing in on, to the watershed. Whether there's places where there's erosion that might be contributing sediment and nutrients to the pond. I wonder if there's one of the things we're going to be asking is the DPW to tell us how much fertilizer do they use to maintain the athletic fields and the cemetery, and whether that could be dialed back at all if to protect the pond. It's a lot of unknowns yet. The study's just getting started, but we do know, we're pretty confident that there's a hell of a lot of phosphorus already in the system in the Pratt Pond itself, and this internal recycling is a very common problem when ponds and lakes begin to age.
Yeah.
And
what's the deepest depth?
It's around 16 feet.
Okay.
Something around 16 feet. A lot of it's around 10 to 12.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, you get some of the boats, motorboats or something in there that either doing some fishing or something else. It doesn't happen all the time, but just enough where you get one of those 90-degree days, someone brings a boat in and it starts kicking it up, and away we go.
Mm.
Okay. Is the beach open now, do you know?
The
It-
beach is now
it-
open.
it's-
Yeah, it's been open since, it opened Wednesday last week. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's, yeah, trust me, it was unfortunate, right? Because with running kids at play, and having probably, you know, I'd say it was down for, I would say it was down for 10 straight days. Probably 8 of those were our hottest summer days, and the kids weren't allowed to use the water. So, yeah, not the greatest.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. One thing, Lakes and Ponds met earlier this week, and we're gonna, I think we're gonna ask to meet with the Board of Health. One thing to see if maybe there's a way to kind of speed up the process a bit. Like, what we think this time is, the rec director saw the bloom, and it took a couple of days before the contractor who took the water sample got out there.
Yeah,
So if that sample could have been taken right away, you could have theoretically gained a couple of days,
right.
or reduced the closure by a couple of days. So,
Or, hey, here was the latest sample that we had on file, send that data over, do the assessment, you make it got closed down. But they were, the results still showed that they were within the limit. So it was one of those, we're still within the limits. So nothing failed. We just happened to see this bloom, on the side, and for precautionary purposes, right? The state said,
Mm.
we strongly recommend you close.
mm, mm, mm.
So, yeah. Anyway, but yes, back open now, and hopefully not another one. And I want to say that this has happened for the last 5 years, where we've had a week and a half to 2 week shutdown for the same type of algae bloom sighting.
Mhm.
Where we're consistent in terms of what we've seen in order to force that shutdown. So it might give us a little bit more of an indication of, yes, if we've seen that same thing for the last 5 years, is what's the recommended path to try to fix that same scenario.
Mhm. Yep.
Anyway,
Agree.
yep.
Stay tuned. I mean, the contractor's working on this, and we're definitely going to make sure that they come up with some recommendations. As part of the
Sounds
study,
good.
and then eventually their study, they're on the hook to do a presentation to the town to when they get further along. Be a chance for people to ask questions and have input.
Got it.
All right.
Right.
Anything else, folks?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you all. A motion to adjourn. Wants to make a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
I make a
So-
motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
Second.
And we are meeting September 3rd. Yes.
Yes. For sure.
I only say that because the last the July month one caught me off guard. Right, I was expecting the Wednesday one, and it happened to be on Monday. So somehow I was going through all my soccer playoff, MTalk, Tournament of Champions stuff that I finished that Sunday, and I didn't know it was on the next Monday. I thought I had a day or two breather, and when I looked up, and it had already passed. So apologize for last month.
No problem. We just wanted to approve that plan prior fiscal year. That was the reason for that.
I got it. Yeah. Okay.
So-
I didn't know if it was, that people were going to start disappearing because we had July 4th weekend hitting just after that too. So.
That was part of it, but
All right.
all right. So motion to adjourn
Make-
has been
yep.
seconded. Any Discussion, hearing none. Mike, aye.
Aye, all
Think
good.
everyone's an
Brian, aye.
aye here. All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michael and Lauren.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Take care.